directing to YouTube. Okay, so now I'm going live. Okay, Garth's not there anymore, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry, I'm in your picture.
I'm here. I've switched it off, remember?
Okay, so now we are live on YouTube, but we are somewhere else. We're on a new thing.
Okay.
Look at the top. What does it end in? What are the last two numerals?
JRU. There's no one waiting here. It's a completely different one.
Okay, so that's problematic. So I think we need to cancel it because now everybody's forwarding the new one, but nobody. But there is another one waiting. I mean, there is, yeah.
So the one that's waiting now on YouTube.
The original one.
But we're on. Dame just sent a picture.
Of us talking.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Dame, if we are live, can you just send me a thumbs up? You guys are on YouTube live. Okay. Well, this is awkward.
So random because I can't in the chat, like in the chat thing, there's no one there. Now why is it buffering? Say something random, and if he can repeat it back to us, it means that we are live streaming.
We're not. No, there's 25 people waiting.
Yes. Paul's listening to our live stream. We're live.
What is happening? Okay, well, I'm just going to minimize the YouTube thing, and I'm going to carry on. This is so random. Okay, fine.
Well, that's annoying because all of our rehearsals are
practice
invalid, basically. So
well,
let's
carry on. We're 7 minutes in. Let's
go
just
for it. We're 7 minutes in. Hello, everybody. Yeah. I'm Becca.
And I'm Kim. And we are Hatstand Productions. Thank you.
Welcome to our very first YouTube Live. We are very excited and grateful that you have decided to join us. Sorry again about the technological issues. We are not that way inclined, so you'll just have to be patient with us. It's already an achievement to not just have our parents tune in, so thank you very much for being here.
Yes. We are theatre people, not computer people. We are officially a week old, so thank you, go us. We were scared to do this, but we lived. We didn't die, which is lovely. Because of the address tonight, we're just going to jump straight in. So, without further ado, our guest tonight is a theatre director. He has directed whimsical musical theatre reviews, a brilliant Bette Midler tribute show with the outstanding Lucy Tops, Shout, the mod musical, and a Pasek and Paul musical called Edges, which he received a Best Director award for at the National Arts Festival in Makanda. He is also a musical director. He's MD'd for Legally Blonde, Footloose, Sister Act, Urinetown, Spring Awakening, and most recently, Peter Terrine's production of The Producers. He studied music at a university and majored in jazz piano, classical piano, alto saxophone, and orchestra percussion. And he is a full-time lecturer at the Waterfront Theatre School, where he teaches musical theatre technique, music theory, and the history of musical theatre. On top of that, he is also the resident pianist at the Piano Bar in Cape Town. But wait, there is more. He was the vocal coach on the international Samsung Rio Olympics campaign. Some of you may know him by his alter ego, the Cape Town Vegan. No, he is not a store, and no, he is not a restaurant. He runs a website, YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitter account, and Instagram account where he can be found spreading his vegan wisdom to his followers. But all of that pales in comparison to his most acclaimed title yet, Vintage My Little Pony Collector, We're talking hundreds of pristine, vintage, mint condition ponies. His collection is so extensive that he has an entire room completely dedicated to the housing and worship of tiny plastic horsies. Is it cute or highly unnerving? You decide. And now that you've heard all of his achievements as a man, a vegan, and a cult leader, it's time to bring him out of quarantine. Please welcome Garth Tavares.
That is the longest introduction I've ever received in my entire life.
Some of those things I didn't
I'll send it to
about
you. You
That
can
was
update
that-
your bio.
That was
Yeah,
like a
update your Instagram bio.
That was like a one-act play in itself.
I'm dry mouth now.
As time went on.
I'm very impressed. I did fall asleep at one point. I fell asleep.
Yeah, there was a bit of a lull.
There was a bit of a lull. Yeah,
No.
You might want to work on the middle section there.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Pump
notes.
it up a little bit.
Cool.
But anyway, Garth, when are you going to get a real job?
Yeah, come on, Garth.
Those things are not.
I moved to Cape Town 10 years ago to start lecturing at the Waterfront Theatre School. And sort of every year I got involved in different projects. And every time I did a new project, my mother would ask me, when are you actually going to make it? And I was like, make it doing what? She's like, no, like really, really like make it. So I was like, well, how can you make it in South Africa? I mean, like art is so subjective, but I don't think that parents of artists necessarily know that or understand it. So at the beginning of this year,
an interesting question though, because like there are different levels of making it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
making it for me is being able to pay the rent at the end of the month. And,
Absolutely.
I'm okay. I don't really care how I got there.
But I did get my own back because I phoned my mom at the beginning of the year and I said to her, Mom, I'm the musical director for Peter Terrine's production of The Producers. And she said, oh, that's nice. I'm like, yeah, Mom, have I now not made it in your book? And she's like, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah,
I suppose so. You can never
make it.
Your idea of making it also change, get older. Like my idea of making it was, when I put on a play, I will have made it. And then I put on a play and I was like, okay, where's my award? Where's my following? Where's my award? I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Absolutely. 100%. And
that's
it's interesting.
Also, sorry.
No, it's just interesting, Becca, what you said about the financial aspect, because as long as you are paying the bills, then essentially you are making it in whatever you do.
Totally.
You know, and especially actors working from job to job. You know, and the
totally. But it's
the
also
difficulty.
True what Kim is saying. Sorry, we're overlapping a lot.
No, go for it.
It's true what Kim is saying, that like goals change as you get older. You know, and like things become important that you never thought were important before. I mean, when I was studying, I was like, yes, a show. I want to do a show. That's all I want to do. And now I'm kind of like, well, can I be away from my husband for months at a time? Like, is that viable? Probably not. Okay, maybe I need to change my goalpost a little bit.
Don't you also think that art in itself is continuously changing?
Totally.
In style, in demand, in societal needs, in terms of what people need in terms of entertainment. So to make it is such a fleeting statement, because you can make it in a movie or on a show or writing a play, but in 5-10 years time, you're not that prolific anymore because there's something else.
Totally.
You know, your audience is constantly, I think you're making it when you're making something that people are actually going to recognize and enjoy.
Totally. But also something for you, something that has been prolific for you and something that's been important for you. It doesn't matter if it's not valid anymore in a couple of months or years.
Yeah, I mean, I have this rule now, and I must try to remember my own rule. I'm not very good at following it, but basically where I will only do a project or commit to a project if it gives me 2 out of 3 things. So those 3 things are, is it going to earn me enough money in terms of how much work there is versus the monetary payoff in terms of my worth is the first thing. Secondly, is it going to be creatively stimulating? Am I going to enjoy the creative aspect of it? And thirdly, is it going to challenge me? Because I might enjoy a project creatively, I might enjoy MDing a production of The Sound of Music, but it's not necessarily challenging. And then if the money's not great, then it's two out of three that are not sort of meeting the mark. You know, ideally you want to do work that pays well, that is a challenge, you're going to learn new skills, and is creatively stimulating. If you get all three, and projects like that do come along, you know, brief projects, long-term projects. And I think that's also part of why I wear so many hats, is because I constantly put challenge and creativity before money, really, because, and I'm finding, I'm sort of trying to find other mediums or channels to explore that give me that sort of fulfillment. And there is still no money.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I don't think there will ever be enough
they
money.
won't, not now anyway.
No. Just talking about, I mean, Kim briefly touched on how many hats you wear, but are you finding now that during this period there is a specific hat that you are loving more than anything else, or perhaps you're finding everything else a lot more challenging during lockdown, and so this is the hat that you've chosen to focus on during lockdown?
Wow, I did not see that question coming.
So profound.
It just popped into my brain.
It is quite profound. I think what's interesting is I've always been a serious work addict, and I've sort of displaced teenage angst and awkward growing up phases and disastrous relationships and sexuality issues coming out and all those things. I've always displaced them with working hard. So for me, my addiction has always been work, which is great because work equals results. And I can constantly throw myself into something that's always going to have fantastic goals or payback. So I think, strangely enough, at the beginning of 2020, I was wearing too many hats. With my own social media. I actually also ran social media for another company. I'm not allowed to mention who the company is, but I ran social media for another company. And I lecture full time, and I had committed to the producers. And at one point at the beginning of 2020, I thought there's absolutely no way that I'm going to make it through this year, just in terms of workload. As I become older, I think it becomes humanly more impossible to sort of manage. And I think for lockdown for me has actually made me reevaluate all of this a lot. And I've actually been taking it easy, which is something that I have never done. I didn't do it at school. I didn't do it during university. I didn't do it when I started working as a school teacher. Never done it when I was lecturing, have been lecturing in Cape Town for the past 10 years. So this is actually, lockdown for me has been some sort of artistic blessing of sorts. I'm actually enjoying still doing the same things, but on my own time with no pressure, really. And the pressure is self-inflicted. And I think that's an artistic temperament, is I have to learn that this ridiculous obsession with perfection is never going to serve me. And I think lockdown is starting to allow me to just breathe slightly more, which is lovely.
I love that.
I think as artists as well, because we work so short term, you know, we have to freelance. None of us are in 10-year long jobs. We almost become obsessed, but you can be completely obsessed and work a workhorse for like 3 months. And then when you burn out at the end, it's done and you can tick it off and you can move on. Whereas I feel like in lockdown, because there's no projects that we're working on, it's difficult to motivate yourself. So you actually have to start analyzing how much you put into things. And reining it in a little bit.
Totally. Okay, so Garthy, can you tell us a bit about how lockdown has been for you in general?
So it's interesting because there are two, obviously with interacting with people a lot via social media, I've come to the realization that there are two camps of people in lockdown. the first kind of person is the one where lockdown struck and their lives fell apart and they were in tears and they were lethargic and demotivated and eating all the time. And then they eventually found some sort of groove or rhythm or pattern which suited them. The second camp of people is people who were fine with lockdown, they were motivated, they were working hard, and now they're only really beginning to sort of understand the repercussion of it. And so they're experiencing their trauma now. I was in the first camp. I was very teary in the beginning. I'm not quite sure why. Interestingly enough, looking back at it now, I don't think it had much to do with lockdown itself, and more the realization that I had to spend time by myself and not have something to be committed to, like an outlet. And that's quite a big thing to admit, and I'm not ashamed to admit it at all. So I think that crushing fear of, now I have no work, I have nothing to keep myself occupied except myself and my time, and no schedule and no diary.
Your thoughts.
And my thoughts.
And your thoughts.
And, you know, it was only about, because we've been in lockdown for about 50 days now. It was only about
I thought you were going to make a joke and say years, and then that sounded like way too long. And then
50 days. And that's been 50 days. And I, only about 10 days ago, I woke up and I thought, I'm really enjoying this. I'm enjoying not setting an alarm in the morning. I'm enjoying not setting an alarm in the evening. I'm enjoying exercising whenever I want to. I'm staying with obviously I live with my partner, Matt. And I think we've only had one serious fight the whole sort of lockdown.
Lucky you.
Has yours been slightly more tumultuous?
Let's just say I'm very grateful that my husband is an essential worker. Otherwise, things would be very difficult.
We've been fine. You know, if I'm talking too much, you must just tell me, and I'll
You're always talking too much, but it's for you.
So
we did this for you, Garth.
Thank you. I must say, the thing that I'm probably loving the most about the space that I'm in now with lockdown is every single day I am watching some sort of video or listening to a podcast. So ballet or dance or musical theatre or a play. There's so much stuff going around the internet at the moment, sort of pro shots, live recordings of plays, musicals, ballet, dance shows, whatever, Shakespeare's. So I'm doing that now. And I mean, I watched the most amazing production of We're Not on the Stage, so I can say it, Macbeth, at the Globe. I watched Neil LaBute's The Shape of Things. What did I watch today? Carman by Matthew Bourne, which is about 20 odd years old now. Yeah, amazing. So like, I'm really enjoying that.
That is such a positive that's come out of this for me, because we're able to kind of take some time to get back to our craft and passions and pouring ourselves into ourselves and giving time to ourselves. You know, I mean, even the simple thing of dedicating exercise time to yourself every day is such an amazing thing, and it's something that you take for granted out in the physical world, which sounds ridiculous to say, but there's just one thing I'm hoping that is going to continue after lockdown is the availability of all these wonderful online classes and online webinars, and it's such a cool way to connect with people. I must say, like, I don't go out a lot and I don't take part in very many classes or join talks or go watch as many plays and musicals as I should, purely because, I mean, I don't know, I guess I'm lazy, maybe. That's my first thing. I don't know. But I'm just finding that I'm a lot more active in terms of actually stepping out of my comfort zone and joining classes. The other night, I told Kim, I joined a Broadway dance class at in the evening, and I learned a dance routine from Kinky Boots, and I had so much fun. And I'm like, what have I been waiting for? Why am I not doing this stuff?
Well, you know, I think also in your defense, maybe, because this is sort of my defense, in chatting with a very well-known South African musical director, he always says to me, he never has time to actually watch or listen to other musicals. So it's very rare that he learns new material. And because my entire life is involved either in veganism and social media or musical theatre, I have very, very little time to actually immerse myself in the craft that I am teaching students and actively participating in. Because when do I have time in a day to watch a 2.5-hour UK tour of Fame the Musical? It's just impossible.
Yeah.
And by the time the weekend comes, I'm so overstimulated with technology that the last thing I want to do is sit in front of a TV for 2 hours. So I like you're saying, I feel incredibly blessed to have this opportunity. I mean, my partner, Matt, actually said he's watching less Netflix. He's an actor. He's watching less Netflix now than before lockdown. And he's and he's done this. He's read a play every day since he's been in lockdown.
Wow.
Well done, Matt.
That's a lot. Well done, Matt. Wow.
He must feel very proud of himself.
I'm sure he does. He's listening in the other room.
Yeah, good.
I don't know if my husband is actually listening, but anyway. Okay, let's move on.
Can I ask one question? Firstly, Ryan Duncan is very concerned about where your hair is.
Oh.
He'd like to know where your hair is.
Okay, so Ryan Duncan is a follower of mine on Instagram, and he had a challenge that to shave our heads for the essential workers, and I did it, and in a mohawk, and no, I'm not showing you, but it's grown out now, so it's a bit of a mess at the moment, but I did heed his
okay, so I did
accept his challenge. I did accept his challenge.
And then Melissa, and is it Leander? Melissa, Leander. She says she wants to just comment and say that, I'll quote her, "I personally love the perfectionist in you. It made your productions exceptional shows and brought the best out in your cast."
Oh,
that's nice.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
I mean, it's true, but you were crazy. You were losing it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to move on, Becca?
Yeah, let's move on. Can you tell us something embarrassing that you have done during lockdown?
Oh, I've done lots of really embarrassing things.
Have you?
I have worn T-shirts over and over again to the point of my partner Matt walking past me and saying, "You stink, please take off that T-shirt, I want to throw it away." What else? I've showered at like 5 o'clock in the evening. That's
fine.
Yeah.
That's about it. I mean, you see, embarrassing is only really when something happens in front of someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so for me, I'm like, I'm really gross. Like I think we're all gross human beings. We just don't want to admit it. So yeah, but showering is probably the worst thing. Oh yeah, I did also eat like 3 slabs of chocolate in a row the other day. That was not one of my finest moments.
Right.
I was expecting something more.
Yeah, I was waiting for something like super gross, but that's literally stuff we do on the daily. So
you're classy ladies.
I'm not really sure. Anyway, so shifting online, can you tell us what you found really cool about connecting with your students online? I mean, it doesn't make a difference in lockdown now because you were always connecting with your vegan audience online, but has there been any difference now? Can you just comment a bit about that?
Difference with my students or difference with the vegan platform or both? Okay, there has been a difference with both. The first thing is with my students, we have, as a team at the Waterfront Theatre School, we have 3 options whereby we can communicate with students. We have WhatsApp groups that are fairly active. We have Zoom lectures that are scheduled. And then we have this fantastic thing that I only learned about when lockdown started called Google Classroom. And the beauty about Google Classroom is you can shoot a lecture video, you can upload it, you can upload quizzes, you can upload books, you can upload multiple choice sheets. You can literally upload anything you want, and it's a free platform for schools to use. Just because I recognize how stressful this time is for students, I didn't want to give them the added pressure of doing live lectures. So for every single one of the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 modules that I lecture, I have recorded a video and uploaded that to Google Classroom, and it goes off at the time of their lecture, but then stays there.
Wow.
If they are overwhelmed, or if they are not feeling like working that day, like all of us have at some point in lockdown, that gives them the option to return to the material at any time they want. The other thing I've decided on as well is not to give them too many extra assignments that they have to physically hand in, because that's quite a stressful thing. Then in terms of the vegan platform, I've lost a lot of followers since the beginning of lockdown.
Really?
A lot of followers. I think the reason for it is people
You're talking too much, maybe.
Maybe. People are, I think, incredibly, understandably sensitive at the moment. And I think online work is falling into 2 categories. The first category is what I would deem authenticity, subjectively. And the second category, again, subjectively, is inauthenticity. So for me, a heavily curated program with beautiful pictures that are super sort of styled and edited to within an inch of their life, of someone lying in a bath with tons of candles. Someone had to take that photo. Those are not the kind of shots that I post on my social media. My life is messy, and that's the kind of life that I post. So I think people on Instagram specifically are looking for one of 2 things at this point. Either they're looking for escapism. So what they want is they want the perfectly curated life to distract themselves from present circumstance. Other people are calling out bullshit and going, you know what, fuck that. I actually I'm so tired of this imperfect life when we are in the middle of a crisis. I would much rather connect with someone who calls a spade. And I mean, my content is not in any way controversial at all. I post jokes, I post memes, I post COVID-19 updates on a daily basis, and I post that I'm having a shit day or I'm having a great day. And I think the people who need that have stuck around, which is great. I mean, those are the kind of followers that you want. You want people who are going to resonate with your content, essentially.
Totally. And I say I need that right now. I need realness, and that's partly why Kim and I thought that this was the most perfect time to launch our platform, purely because we want to be real. We want to say, look, if you are getting up every day and you're being super productive and you're exercising and you're putting work into your craft, that's great. But if you can't bring yourself to get out of bed in the morning, that's cool too. You just do whatever you need to do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I really appreciate that about your page.
Thank you.
Okay, so
yeah, go ahead.
In an alternate reality, COVID-19 never existed.
Yes.
How would your last 50 days have gone?
What month are we in? May. I would be in Johannesburg right now.
Oh.
Finishing, what date is it? I have to actually look at the date.
Finishing
13th. Finishing my run of, or 3/4 of the way through the run of The Producers. We were going to be at Monte Casino, and that obviously didn't happen. So I would have actually had a lot of downtime, because I would have just been doing the show in the evening. I wouldn't have been lecturing during the day. Yeah. So that's
speaking of producers,
yes.
We had, after your commentary about Isidingo, we had a special person message us.
Yeah.
So
I felt like I needed to leave the chat. I was like, I shouldn't be reading this, maybe.
Well, I got a fright because I was like, oh no, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I also did. I was like,
like, what did we say? So it's your good friend, Terence Bridget.
Okay,
let me
what
just
does he say?
Remind everybody. So you said that you had the biggest crush on Terence. So he's responding to that.
I know, on Terence's character that he played.
Okay,
just to give everyone context.
Okay, fine.
on Instagram, I did a Q&A on the Hatstand Productions thing, and someone asked about Instagram, about Issy Dingo. So I did say, I haven't watched Issy Dingo in a long time. The last time I watched it, I had a crush on Terence Bridget, who played the character of Chico Boysons. He's like a bad boy. So, okay, continue.
Okay, so he said, what? I just spent 3 months working with you. You never told me that. Blush. That is so sweet. Chico is hardcore though. And then he asks, were you disappointed to meet the real me?
Okay, that's very, very, very awkward and lovely. I love Terence like so much. He's the nicest guy in the world, honestly. But now I'm blushing. So yes,
well,
that's
we can move
on.
We can move on.
All right. So Garth, tell us, what do you think the future of our industry looks like?
It's an easy question to answer, so just
it is
go.
Super easy. Just go. There
is a right answer.
I'm concerned that, okay, so essentially we are busy deciding at the moment whether what we are experiencing in terms of the creation of online content, the blow up of TikTok, staged readings on Zoom, plays that have been written specifically to be performed on Zoom. The artistic community worldwide is discussing whether this is an intermediary phase that we are in, or whether it is the new normal. I would argue that the trend setters are trying to actually use these platforms and integrate them more into work. I mean, look, there's so much prolific work going on in the UK and the US before this all happened that integrates the use of cell phones and computers. I mean, I did a thing that was all like a, immersive experience. It's huge in the UK now, where you go around with your cell phone and that kind of thing as part of the play. I think it's impossible to tell, but what I think people are doing is, the one aspect of art that we don't really consider enough, and I think it's beginning to be very apparent now, is self-sufficiency. So even now, in terms of the content that we teach at the Waterfront Theatre School, we don't believe that a triple threat is a singer, actor, dancer. A triple threat is someone who can perform, they can teach, and they can create. The creative aspect is where you're going to earn money. So I think people are going like, okay, we haven't got a job now. What are we going to do in this intermediary phase, if it is that, to make some money? That's going to change the art form. Because essentially what we're doing, whether we realize it or not, is creating a safety blanket.
Yeah.
I mean, if you even look at something like TikTok and how TikTok has overtaken Instagram, because people are creating their own form of entertainment now.
Totally. Yeah.
We had, my partner Matt and I had a couples casting via Zoom on a cell phone the other day.
That's amazing.
For an advert that would be shot on our cell phones if we got the part.
So
I think it's impossible to predict where all of this is heading. The thing that concerns me greatly is that the craft of acting, which is something that I'm incredibly passionate about, obviously acting for musical theatre, but for me, it's the same thing, is that part of the craft of acting will become lost from the head down. I'm a firm believer in non-verbal communication as a tool of expression. And I believe, in terms of what I teach, that the body and how we produce the voice gives us most information that we need, more than a camera angle or an underscore of music or whatever. I get worried that the future of acting is from the head up. And we lose the ability to use our bodies to communicate. I mean, and subtlety within shifts in our bodies. I think that's incredibly important. And I just worry that the craft itself suffers somewhat. Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't even I can only really process one day at a time at the moment. I can't really think a month in advance or even 6 months, or where the future of musical theatre or any kind of art form exists. I have to say though, regardless of what happens in the world, whether it's 9/11, whether it is World War I, World War II, or whether it's COVID-19, art adapts.
Yeah, totally.
So it will shift. It is shifting. What we are doing now is artistic in its nature. I mean, what you guys have created on your Instagram account at hatstand.productions is already incredible. It's incredible. The amount of artistry that I look at it and I go, oh my God, I have to up my game now, because these newbies are already doing something that's incredible and fun and engaging. So I think the artistic community is already responding. Where is it going to go? No one knows. I think it's impossible.
Also, just to comment on what you're saying, I also feel like now is a good time to get your creative stuff out there, because I almost feel like it's a non-judgment zone at the moment, purely because like literally anything goes. Like before, I would never use my page as, you know, posting a video of myself singing, because I'm like, oh, what are the people in the industry going to say if I'm like singing a song on my page, on my personal page? It's just like not something I do. But now I'm like, fuck it, who cares? I'm going to, you know, put myself out there, because I need a creative outlet, and this is what I have, and I'm going to use it.
Yeah. What is also exciting for me is that art is almost the playing field is evened out. So before, whoever had the most money and the most, you know, set and the most whatever, they were, you know, elevated. It was automatically better art. Whereas now we all have the same cell phone, we all have the same shitty Wi-Fi, you know, and that's, so it's actually about the storytelling. It's less about the production.
I'll give you a very interesting example. Stephen Sondheim celebrated his 90th birthday a couple of weeks ago, and they decided to do a live stream of all these artists who had performed his work in the past. So first of all, the start of it was a complete fuck up because of technology. So you guys are up there with the giants in terms of your technology. You're very welcome. But what was so fascinating to me was the Broadway legends, the leading ladies of Broadway, such as Patti LuPone, Bernadette Peters, Donna Murphy. Their material was so disappointing compared to newbies who are fresh and passionate and vocally sort of healthy and have this energy. Their numbers just absolutely blew me. Artists that I'd never heard of before singing his work, you go like, oh my God, now just because you are a Donna Murphy or a Bernadette Peters or Patti LuPone, you cannot use the stage and the lights and the name and the spotlight to create the performance for you. You've literally just got you in your room with your voice. And all three of those leading ladies were outshone by someone who had put in more work.
Very interesting.
Because like you say, Kim and Becca, the playing fields are now completely even. And that's exciting.
Totally. Yeah, it is exciting. Well, Garth, we've got to wrap it up because our friend Cyril is on.
Our good friend.
Thank you so much. Our good friend, our best friend Cyril is on. Thank you so much for joining us and for being our first guest. Thank you to our wonderful audience members. Even if there were only 4 of you, we are so grateful. Mom, hi Dad.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, we're really grateful that you are our first guest.
Thank you.
What a wonderful intro for our series of So When Are You Gonna Get a Real Job? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Garth.
Cheers, guys.
Namaste. Okay, now I need to end. Stop.